Dear life, why do you feel sometimes like a speedy wave? Like a current pushing us along towards a watery grave? The outside world is not our problem. Sharing the planet is long forgotten. And the freedom to choose to empathize slowly drains before our eyes. So, what if the sky darkens with the stains of pollution? That our numbers grow like problems without any resolution? So, what if the ice melts or ground splits or homes fall? At least the carbon levels loom above it all. We think our problems can't catch up if we continue zooming by. But in this race to come first, I would just like to verify that while our emissions can escalate and production can magnify, with a short-lived indulgence, we'll have to kiss the earth goodbye. Unless we decide to clean our spectacles, maybe change our perspective, to the animals' howls for help and oceans' cries of pain, we'll never be perceptive. So let's take off our cowardly disguise and face our issues. For there are animals crying, all of sea life dying, habitats drying, the earth is frying, trees sighing, nature's not replying. And are we going to pretend we don't receive these signals? Their wishes we'll keep defying? No, we're no longer sitting in front of a screen and passively listening. We're getting to the bottom of the problem and discovering what lies beneath the waters glistening. So if you dive in and are just about lucky to find a fish swimming by you, you may start to wonder whether those stories about rich marine life were ever even true. And as you find all the shellfish forlorn and upturned, stop and think, why? Well, this is a lesson that must be learned. And since you're now far too deep to turn back, let me explain to you why we are where we are at.
Ever since the Industrial Revolution, we have started to rely heavily on fossil fuels to power our machines and vehicles. But due to this excessive combustion, the increase in carbon dioxide, a potent greenhouse gas, has resulted in an unnatural warming of the earth, an enhanced greenhouse effect. So where does all this carbon dioxide go? The oceans are a major carbon sink, absorbing 1/4 of the emitted carbon. While this promotes photosynthesis, it undergoes a set of reactions with water and in turn greatly changes the ocean's chemistry. First, the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere enters the ocean and dissolves in the water. It then reacts with water to form a weak acid, carbonic acid. Carbonic acid dissociates into bicarbonate ions and hydrogen ions. Carbonate ions present in the ocean are now snatched by hydrogen ions present in excessive amounts. Now, why does this happen? The percentage increase in hydrogen ions is greater than the percentage increase in bicarbonate ions, creating an imbalance in the reaction. To maintain equilibrium, few of the carbonate ions already in the ocean combine with some of the hydrogen ions to make further bicarbonate ions. Thus, the ocean's concentration of carbonate ions is reduced, creating an imbalance in this reaction. This also makes the formation of calcium carbonate structures more unlikely. With hydrogen ions as the new competitor, calcium ions don't have access to enough carbonate ions to form their calcium carbonate material that comprises the shell of calciferous sea life. Such marine organisms, like corals, can hence no longer build their shells. The stability of calcium carbonate is directly impacted by both temperature and pressure. As we move deeper in the ocean, the pressure increases and the temperature decreases. The saturation horizon is an imaginary axis that denotes the level above which calcification is possible. Therefore, at depths and pressures greater than this, the compound is unstable and readily dissolves, challenging these organisms again. As the acidity of the ocean increases, at lower depths, the saturation horizon now moves upwards, greatly reducing the area where organisms can use calcium carbonate to build their shells and skeletons. Moreover, an increase in the hydrogen ion concentration lowers the pH, and in these acidic environments, the tissues and the shells of such organisms begin to disintegrate.
If human activity has only caused the temperature to rise by 1 degree and the pH to drop by 0.11 units, why should we bother? Come to think of it, these seemingly minor changes have actually led to a 30% acidification, destroying the base of food chains, crippling the ocean and its biodiversity. So if we have the power to manipulate so much disaster, what do you say we translate that power into a will to live with sensitivity towards our surroundings so we can sustain the privileges that we experience in years to come? So pause now, reflect, stop to think. Are we inadvertently driving ourselves to the brink? Because by disguising our goals and ambitions in a paint of positives, we're fooling ourselves, hiding from the truth as if we're fugitives. The treasures of the ocean, how dare we crucify? For if it tumbles to its grave, the whole world it will petrify. So remember, the paradise beneath cannot be purchased, and the damages done cannot be erased. But instead of pining for what is not, we must optimize on what we've got. Let the world recover, replenish, with our oceans we'll reconcile. We'll make a change. We'll make our stay on this planet worthwhile.